glamorous assistant.
I will be your assistant, and I will make sure that I get the tech right.
Okay. Well, I have my glamorous assistant doing all the button pressing. I don't do that anymore. I have people to do that for me. Good afternoon, everybody. I've obviously only met a handful of people here today. My name's Alan Owen, and I'm head of Career College at Hugh Baird. So just a very brief amount of history. Yes, we were one of the pioneers. I don't remember anybody saying we were a pioneer at the time, but we must have been. So, what did we do? Well, we joined up with the Career College. I remember actually the first time we met, Ruth, and I think we bribed you with a meal in our L20 restaurant, which Lord Baker commented on this morning. The best meal, Rachel, he's ever had in the north of England. Take from that what you will. Right, why did we want to do it? Basically, it was opportunities for young people, employer demand. They wanted, you know, as we've all talked about today, the right kind of young people being trained to work in their industries. It was an LEP priority as well, and it also enabled the college to develop enrolments for young people from the age of 14 to up to, well, death, really, frankly. So it obviously benefits the college in a lot of ways. So 4 years on, what do we have? Well, we have 140 students or thereabouts on our career college, 2 pathways, hospitality and catering, and visitor economy or travel and tourism. With the employer's support, we're also hopefully developing those employability skills within the students, and you'll have a chance to meet some of those young people in a few minutes now. But if you think about those subject areas we talked about, has anyone here been to Liverpool lately? Oh, good, a handful, a small handful, thank you. A few more of you need to take the trip up there, only 2 hours away by train. The huge development that's going on in Liverpool at the moment, I mean, I'm not a Liverpudlian, but I've lived there off and on for about 30 years or something. And since we had Capital of Culture, which is coming up to 10 years ago, it was in 2008, there's been massive development, mainly around the tourist industry, but also expanding into other areas. So, for example, we have a new cruise ship terminal. With that, we've got the development of the North Docks. There was a couple of articles in the Sunday papers about the challenges of hoping to develop a city without incurring the wrath of UNESCO, because Liverpool actually has a World Heritage status for the Pier Head site. So these are some of the issues. If you want to be a developing city and be able to recruit young people into the developing industries, you've got to take the rough with the smooth. We also have a big market in football tourism. You may have heard of Liverpool or Everton football clubs. Every other weekend when they're playing, our hotels have the highest occupancy rates in the north of England, I think. We compete close with Manchester when they have Manchester United or Manchester City playing at home. So, working with the Career College, huge opportunities for the young people, huge opportunities for the college, because we get progression for the young people. To the students here today have progressed from what we call our 14-16 college within Career College up into the further education part of Hugh Baird. Our work with employers also helps inform us about the more appropriate courses and the career opportunities we want to offer to the young people. So it's all good really, and all development for Hugh Baird, and as we know within FE there's a lot of challenges come our way, so it's nice to have something extremely positive to help the college grow and develop. So what have we achieved so far? Well, as you'll see, we have a video about to start, so I think it's better if we just hand over to the students and see what they have to say. Please, do your thing.
I'm here to make sure I take responsibility.
I'd like to invite our students and our accompanying staff members. We have Rachel Singleton, who's a lecturer in hospitality and catering, and Andrew Curry as curriculum coordinator in visitor economy. But I think since you've travelled all this way, you need to come up on the stage and take a seat, or at least take a bow at the very least. I know there's only 4 chairs, that's all right. And that's thanks to our marketing department that made that video through interviewing an awful lot of students. So here we have Josh standing up, very gentlemanly, and we have Kira, then we have Kyle, then we have Megan, Rachel, catering lecturer on the left, and obviously on my right is Anja, who's a curriculum coordinator for travel and tourism. So One thing I'd like to know is whether you've got any questions for any of our students, whether there's anything you'd like to ask them about their experience at the Career College at Hugh Baird, or indeed, failing that, any of the staff. I bet you're relieved about that. Yeah. Ruth.
Tell us about those first few days, the change from school to college.
Who'd like to take that? I'm looking at you, Kira.
My first day of college, I was so scared. I mean, I already have friends that came to college from school with me, but it was just...
You don't have to hold it very close.
It was just like a whole new environment, and it was completely different from school. And I'd done well in school, but I just didn't really like it, so the whole change was just a bit of a shock, but the teachers and everything, they settled you in fine, and it's just normal after a few weeks.
Thank you very much. Anybody else like to say anything on that?
Ask a question. What would you suggest that we do as career colleges to make it easier, that transition period?
I'm not quite sure what you could do.
So you mean make it easier with the move from school?
Yeah, you were saying that the transition.
Maybe have like
What should we do? What can we do?
maybe have like more
Busy.
introduction days, so you're not just there like 2 days, be there for like a whole week, and like get to know the teachers more and that.
Okay.
So what you're saying is that we need to get you from school into college more,
Yeah.
so you can begin to get used to it. Do you think it's very, very different to school?
Yeah, it's a lot different. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Did the schools help in your transition? Did the school?
Well, my school didn't help at all. My school was rubbish.
So is a question over there?
So what would you say to other young people that are about to leave school about perhaps why they should come to a career college?
Go on, should we give that to Josh?
There's a lot more opportunities in a career college from what we've both seen anyway, and you can progress onto like different courses as well, which help you in the future. Yeah.
Thank you. Does that help? Karen, and then come back here.
Thank you so much for coming down today. I do appreciate that you've joined us, especially the students. One question for the students. What difference has the employer involvement made to your experience at college?
Ooh, should we give that one to Megan?
I'll pass it on.
What difference does the career college to your employment? So what chances have you had?
It's made it a lot easier to get a job in catering industry. Like, I'm currently a waitress, so with doing the hospitality and catering, the experience within the restaurant and the kitchen has helped a lot. Like, doing my level 2 now, the chefs in my work have currently found out that I'm doing my level 2 and started letting me doing shifts within the kitchen.
Thank you, Megan. Same question to Andrea and Rachel.
Give to Andrea.
Well, that might, isn't it?
I think really we've just involved a lot of employers because I'm cabin crew background. I've got links within the aviation industry, and really just bringing it so it's real life kind of opportunities for students where they've done some cabin crew training, and it's real cabin crew training they've actually done. Instead of just doing the college course, they've gone with different employers, and we've done different events really and different kind of activities, which is part of training as cabin crew. So it's not just a course, they're really involved with employers as well. So.
Rachel. Yeah, thanks for that.
I think ours is really getting the students an experience that they'd never have before. We do a guest chef night, and we still do them. I think, Karen, you've been to a few, and we've got the students working with 5-star Michelin chefs, and they go out there and do the work experience there. A lot of them have got jobs from it. And it's just giving them an experience that they wouldn't normally get, which has been a bonus, really.
More questions? Keep going. Okay, thank you.
How did you find out about the career college? Who told you about it?
Should we come back to Kira?
I actually got a letter through my house because I think my mum had done courses at Hugh Baird, and once, like, obviously my mum had already been registered with Hugh Baird, they just sent it out as like in case she was interested or in case I was interested. So I found out about it through that, and I went to Holly Lodge Girls' School, and I told a few of my friends about it, because I thought it'd just be a bit easier for me to go with a few friends and things. And then there's actually a few of the girls from my school that came to Hugh Baird with me, but I just found out about through the letters that we got.
Thank you. Teresa.
Being at the Career College, working with employers, has it widened your understanding of the different choices of careers you can have? I think some of you talked about that over the years. So you've got a wider view?
Yeah, can you say that again?
Yeah.
It was quite long, let's be honest.
So has it widened your understanding of what's out there for you? Different jobs and different companies?
Doing cabin crew, yeah, because there's a lot more to cabin crew and there's a lot more jobs that you can do apart from cabin crew. Like, there's so many jobs working in an airport that none of us knew about until like now. Yeah, and like when we went to Liverpool, we went to the crew rooms and there's so much more jobs in there and just everything about it.
Okay, yes, down here, please.
You've made brave decisions to leave school and go to a career college, so I congratulate you for that. But what's the next challenge? What do you see as being your next challenge in your education pathway?
Right then, who shall we have? Megan?
So it's Kyle. For me, I think it's going back to school to do sixth form. Because obviously leaving school to go to college has been a big different, and then the school environment's completely different from college. So going back to doing that is going to be really hard.
Excellent. I'll use this one now. Thank you very much for that, and thank you very much for your participation. I was just going to ask if, Andrew, could you just clarify exactly the course that the visitor economy students are doing and you know, the elements that go to help their employability skills, and then obviously ask Rachel to explain about the catering qualifications that we do at Hugh Baird as well.
Okay, so we have travel and the visitor economy, and under our kind of umbrella we've got travel and tourism linked to a resort rep. That's one of our qualifications that we do. So students are more guided to going working abroad, and the qualification that I do is a cabin crew qualification. And we also start off with customer service, because the whole job really is about customer service and just giving them an introduction into working with people and building their confidence. So our courses are cabin crew is the main course, and the resort reps. They're the main qualifications we do.
I can't remember what it's called. I think we do level 1 and level 2 food prep and cooking. Yeah, I think that's it. I can't remember. It is, isn't it? Yeah.
Have you gone blank?
Yeah. Yeah, thanks.
But
What do you do on the course? How do you teach it off? I don't know how to teach it.
Is that all I needed to answer?
specifically though, can you just outline why you've chosen those courses as a catering team and how you think they're the best ones for enhancing?
Oh, we've tried everything. We tried BTEC first. Hope there's no BTEC people here, but we just found it really, really more challenging to do the paperwork than it was for the students. So we changed it this year to NCFE. And we found it more easy to understand for the students, more flexible and more student friendly. So it worked as a bonus for the students really. And they get the teeth into a little bit more of their own work rather than chasing the paperwork to say fill that in. So yeah.
Okay, thank you very much. I think it's worth pointing out that one of the challenges for any career college is that with 16 plus students, there's a full range of qualification that's available, obviously once you've worked with employers to ensure that it's really delivering what's required. But for younger students, because you're subject to Department of Education regulations and guidance, there's a limited range of qualifications, so you've got kind of a twin pressure really of making sure it's the right course for the young people, but also that it will lead to ideal progression onto the high level programs as they go through the college, or indeed progress onto another college or even into employment. So it is complex, and that's why there's been a bit of a change with hospitality and catering to make sure that it reflected what was required for the young people, and again within visitor economy as well. So, okay, hopefully that gives you a bit of an insight into the experience the students have had at the college and the work that goes into it. And personally, I'm very pleased that we managed to persuade 4 victims to travel down this morning from Liverpool. But seriously, thank you very much for coming down today. I hope you've enjoyed it this afternoon here at the conference. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Alan. I do recognise what you said about Liverpool hotels filling up with football supporters. All my family went up to Liverpool to see Plymouth Argyle's magnificent 0-0 draw in the FA Cup. Apart from that, thank you very much indeed for that presentation. Thank you, students, especially for coming down from Liverpool for the day. Have a good journey back, perhaps a good time while you're in London too. And we move on to our final presentation. And we welcome Rick Lugg, from the Strategic Manager leading the Air and Defence Construction Career Colleges in Lincoln. Rick's work with the Air and Defence Career College covers food services, computer technology and engineering, so quite a wide field. And Rick's going to share his insights into the development of employer collaboration in education. Over to you.
My laptop having its own little light today.
Yeah, it's lovely.
That should not be happening. That's better.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everybody. Can you hear me? Okay. Thank you very much for hosting me today. It's an honour to be here. Some nice smiling faces, and thanks, Bev. Where are you, Bev? Graveyard shift. Thank you. I'll try and make this as painless as ever, as I'm sure everybody's keeping an eye on the time in terms of their links home. I'm here to talk about employer collaboration and the links with employers, and there's one particular employer that I'm going to focus on today, but as we've heard in the room, you're probably the second most important part of the Career College link, not forgetting these wonderful young people that have been up to here today. So without further ado, have I gone the wrong way? I'm not in.
It's me. It's going to be me.
I'm not
so
in.
Sorry. Me. I'll deal with this one.
Okay, all right. Shall I do microphone? Can you still hear me? Oh, that's loud. Okay. Yes. Collaboration with employers is obviously the key theme within the Career College. And although I've been associated with the Air and Defence Career College in my introduction, today I'm talking about the Construction Career College. At very short notice, and Claire gave me a nod as well, but our bid writer said, there's some Teach 2 funding available, Rick. Best get on it. So we very quickly turned around a bid, and we're very fortunate to win some Teach 2 funding. That came at a very pertinent time. We've been working with one of our stakeholders around a concept in terms of giving our learners some realistic work experience with the end goal of actual recruitment. So as part of my collaboration with the employers to launch the Construction Career College, we worked with builders, we worked with small refurbishment agents, and we've worked with some social housing companies. We have 3 social housing enterprises as part of our Construction Career College stakeholders. In doing so, we probably cover what is the majority of the social housing within the Lincolnshire area. Two of the social housing companies have somewhere in the region of 12 to 15,000 social houses as part of their remit, and the one company that we're working with at the moment is ASIS Housing, which is actually located in our Gainsborough constituents, and they have approximately 5,500 social houses. So, what am I doing? What's the relevance of it here? We spoke with them around, could we help them refurbish their void houses? So a void house, for those that aren't in this sector, inverted commas, is when one tenant leaves and another, so before the next tenant is available to take over that property, they go in and do some refurbishment work. So anybody that's tried to work with 1416s, and Alan will justify, comes under very strict safeguarding pieces. And if anybody's tried to get young people onto building sites, etc., they'll also understand that there is some serious health and safety implications to it. Unless you've got a very amenable construction company, you fall foul of things like CSCS cards and all kinds of technical pieces. So what we did, we worked with the ASIS Housing Association. Because we're not on a building site, we don't fall foul of some of those safeguarding pieces, health and safety, etc. But it does allow us to work within properties with multi-skilled tradespeople for our young people to get a really good experience in terms of what it's like in what could be a very lucrative and rewarding career. So we worked with the ASIS Housing Association and their subcontracting company called Prime Repairs, and we put together a bid very quickly. We fell foul of not reading the small print because we put in some money for some tools, only to find out that you're not allowed to spend Teach 2 funding on the capital, so we had to adjust ourselves quite quickly. However, the long and the short of it is, we are currently working with them as part of the project. We're on our third property now, so I do apologise on behalf of my learners. They should be clocking off in about an hour and a half on their final property for this project. So to give you an idea of where we're at, in the Construction Career College at Gainsborough, we do what I would call traditional trades. So we do painting, decorating, joinery and brickwork. But within a void house repair, there's lots of other opportunities as well. So we needed plasterers, we needed plumbers. So not only did it start with the Construction Career College, but has now spread to other elements and other campuses within our college. So the principle behind this is one of our members of staff goes along with the ASIS staff to the property. They do an assessment in terms of what needs to be done. They then agree that the property is appropriate for that particular project. They then go back, we engage with our young people, offer them this opportunity. They then are volunteered, or volunteer, depending on what needs we have. We then take them to the property and they go through the same process as the professionals have done. So they'll look at the property, they assess what they think should be done to make it ASIS lettable standards, which they've been inducted into. They then put together a costing in terms of how many hours they think it's going to be, a rough idea of the consumables and products that they're going to use, and then that's agreed with the ASIS staff in terms of whether that meets budget or not. So from there, they then have a site induction, and then they start on the project for real, where they work alongside an ASIS multi-skilled tradesperson. We send one of our staff along to supervise, but that's purely on a safeguarding process. They do not input into the training that goes on. The students receive masterclasses, in inverted commas, from the tradespeople that are there. And once, if that tradesperson isn't available, then our staff stand in to help out. What is the end product? The end product is that social housing is returned to the company and is signed off by their project lead, so their housing inspector, to make sure that it is lettable standard. So then our students operate to the same standard that multi-skilled tradesperson or persons would finish that property with. In doing so, our students not only work in their own trade, they work alongside others in terms of team building. They work to tight deadlines. They work in realistic work environments. Our final property, which is a 3-bed semi-detached in the middle of what is nowhere, isn't it, Colin? Colin's been up to see it. And they have no water, no electric. They have a portaloo outside. And it's probably as close to a realistic building site as some of them will get. What's the benefit from the learners? They understand flexibility. They understand prioritising. They have to make sure they get their pack up ready, because there isn't a shop, there isn't a college canteen just around the corner. They need to make sure that they've got all the pieces that they're going to need in that working day. They then help other people. So we've had painters and decorators being helped by chippies. We've had plasterers that have had their plaster mixed by painting and decorators while they're applying stuff. We've had chippies with wood being held by painting and decorators. Every single way that you would expect a small construction company to work, that's exactly what they've done. So far, we've had about 5, maybe 6 members of our staff go out with the project, which means they've got CPD in terms of them learning from maybe up to 20 years outside of the trade. They go and work with a multi-skilled tradesperson, so they get CPD out of it. Students themselves get gold standard work experience because the area and the learning is controlled by a third party, so it ticks all our boxes from a college point of view. But more importantly, they understand what it's like to be in the world of work. So the headline to my piece is Employer Links. Forgive me, forgive the IT. I did bring photographs and a short video for you to see. So the short video basically gives it from ACES's point of view, and there's a short piece on there from Paul, who's probably the main multi-skilled technician that they've worked with, in terms of what they get from it. So ACES, all being a social housing provider, have their mission statement around interaction with their local community. But as a result of this project, we've now seen a plumber being offered an apprenticeship place, and we have another learner that's waiting for their interview. It means a lot to them to work with the people that they support. So as a social housing provider, they have a policy in terms of interaction with the local community. But as they point out to us, some of those learners that are actually working on their properties actually live in their houses in different areas. So they're giving back to the community that they support. They're now going to hopefully employ some of the people from the community that they support. In doing so, we've had to work really hard. The ACES staff give up their time in terms of inductions. We work alongside their technicians, and their CEO has been out to present certificates of achievement, etc., as part of that experience. Collaboration is possible, and you've heard some examples of really good collaboration within Amazon, within the chefing side, etc. We have some really good, strong employer links. But it's really important that, just as we were clear in terms of the expectations from our guest speakers today in terms of us understanding what the employers want, probably the most important thing from a project manager's point of view is that the employers know exactly what you want. When you're looking for an educational experience, be very specific with those employers. Don't take it to chance. Be very clear in terms of what your learners need from that experience too. We were very clear with ACES in terms of what the expectations are around what our learners will get as part of that process. Employers have their social responsibility pieces. But one of the ways that we've sold this to ACES as part of their apprenticeship program is the fact that they are de-risked, because they've been immersed in employer experience, whether that's on a site visit, whether that's for guest speaking, or whether IT.
Where's Andrew? Andrew, I learnt a valuable lesson today about using up our ship containers or rice. That's what we did, and I am sorry, Rick.
That's quite right.
We literally used up our space. Thank you.
Okay.
I don't know if this
Okay.
helps you at all.
Shall I take over? Yeah. Okay. He says nearly disappearing off the back of the stage. Okay. So I've talked briefly over this piece, so I won't go over it again. We ended up with approximately £12,000 of funding. So the funding has made it available for us to work in collaboration with ACES. And the funding's, what it's basically done is allowed us to pay for the prime technician for cover for our staff to go out and do some of the pieces, and to also pay for the transportation. So this is ACES's Prime and etc. You can see here their head office is in Gainsborough, but they do have houses across the East Midlands, and we're working with them to develop that more. I'll speed this up so that we're not too quickly. Newland Court was our first venture. This was a one-bedroom elderly person's flat in a sheltered area. They went in and decorated throughout. They fitted a new kitchen, new doors to the bedroom, and most importantly, the damage done by a mobility scooter meant that nearly every wall just above the skirting board was damaged. So the plasterers had a real good time. You can see Paul, who's presently kneeling on the vinyl, and the students getting involved. And I think the picture in the bottom right-hand corner really depicts where the students took from this in terms of working as a team. Those people there you can see are painted with these whites on the right hand side, and the other students involved. So a really good opportunity. To give you an idea, ACES put this down as a 5-day void. So a 5-day void means that from the moment the keys are handed in to when it's relettable, there's 5 days of work in that property. Our learners alongside Paul turned that round in 7 days. So there was only a 2-day difference between a tradesman going in on his own and the turnaround from the lads. Hickman Street was the next exciting voyage, and you'll notice there's an increase in complexity as we go through. Hickman Street was a 3-bed maisonette. For those that aren't blessed with this information, 3-bed maisonettes are a bit of a quirk because 3 beds mean that you generally have a family. If you've got a family that need 3 bedrooms, the chances are you want a garden, so therefore a maisonette doesn't become particularly lettable. So in a way of beating the bedroom tax, no, there's nobody in here. In a way of beating the bedroom tax, we spoke with ACES and they said, we're going to convert this. So we're going to make it a 2-bed. So what we actually did, what we ended up doing, you can see the archway in the left-hand side picture. That was a solid wall. They took the wall out, put a lintel in, and the bottom right-hand corner is when they blocked off the other door, so it can officially be a 2-bed maisonette rather than that. Sounds very simple. It's not quite as simple as what you would imagine, because obviously you have to support the structure. We also had to move some electrical pieces. We didn't. We got a specialist in to do it. I'll put that out there now. But it's not quite as simple as what we thought. And again, decoration throughout. So plasterers, joiners, everybody got involved in stripping wallpaper, painting, masticing, etc. So a really good team effort. And again, to give you an idea of the impact, ACES put this down as a 10-day void, and again, we only added the extra 2 days per week, so it's a 14-day void here. So really good teamwork from the side. This is probably the biggest venture so far, and this is one that Colin saw when he came up to see us. The Subaru on the top right-hand corner gives you an idea of just how well looked after this place was. That's derelict. There's no wheels on it. The engine's hanging out. And you can't quite see the toilet on the right-hand side because I've edited the picture. Again, this really does show a true site piece in terms of where the multi-skilled people go. And again, the young gentleman that's holding on to the piece of wood is actually a brickworker, and the lad with the saw is actually a chippy there. But again, a really challenging environment, and Colin will testify if anybody wants to speak to Colin down here. That house was a tip. An absolute tip. To coin the phrase from ACES, the tenants did a runner. They did a runner after falling out, and I'll show you a little picture now in terms of the gentleman that's staring at the ceiling now is one of our lecturers that went out. Graham Stanley is an experienced construction worker, and the picture actually sells him well in terms of just how horrified he was at the amount of work that went in there. So the reason why some of our students are not here is because that was classed as a 19-day void, and if we'd completed on Friday as we anticipated, they would have turned it round in 19 days. Unfortunately, didn't quite make it, and today's the last day. So a really good proof of pudding in terms of if you go and you're honest and straight about what you need with a proper collaborative employer, it's amazing what you can do. From a manager's point of view, probably the most frustrating thing was the fact that some of our learners self-selected in terms of not taking part, which was a real blow to me after spending hours trying to develop stuff. But I think it's an important lesson that although some of our people, and I hate the word technical, vocational programs, life skills and technical maybe, but vocational, I agree, is overused and under-realised. Some of those people are just not ready. There is a reason why they chose college instead of an apprenticeship. And I think one of the things that we've learnt from this project is we need to counsel, educate, inspire our learners before expecting them just to stand up and be counted. So if you are embarking on this kind of a venture, please be aware that not everybody is a willing subject. It was a difficult piece to handle from that point of view. What the students learnt, and again, we was hoping that they could come down and tell you themselves, but probably the biggest thing is what they've realised is they are greater than the sum of their parts. When they went in as a team and they looked at all the skills that they had, they realised that working together was far better than any of them working individually to achieve a task. So that sense of team and that sense of value should never be underestimated. We've had to have a redressing. It sounds like a perfect model, but we've had a redressing in terms of not being used as cheap labour either. So we need to be careful to make sure that those boundaries are very clear. And sometimes you have to be honest enough to have the difficult conversation to say, this is not what we agreed to. And don't you think you're pushing the limits a little bit? So, you know, it comes back to that honesty and communication with an employer. Do not be afraid to stand your ground, and you'll be respected for it. But probably most importantly, as we've seen by the young people that have been up here today, there are some stars amongst our people, and for every one bad apple, I'm quite confident there's 50 good ones. And with projects like this and opportunities like this, it really does make it worth the while of some of those sleepless nights and pen and paper by the bedside when you can't sleep, and all those pieces too. So I think the key point to this is don't lose sight of what we're here for, and it's for the young people. We've had great examples of people exploring new career pathways outside the trade sectors that we aspire them to be into, but the end result is that that young person is employed, and that's the most important thing from my perspective. So I talked earlier longevity. I've got a meeting on Monday which will take this for the whole of the academic year next year. We're very positive about it. The CEO sees a great value in it, and as we've said, we've now had our first apprenticeship that's led from this. So this is a really positive place. I spoke just before the IT kicked back in terms of this gives me strength to the elbow. I'm going to exploit this now. And I suggest you do. I've heard about Yeovil now working with the helicopter company, and I tend to go and use that against my air and defence sector stakeholders and say, they can do it. Show me. So I'm going to do exactly the same with this. We've got Longhurst Housing Association and Ongo Housing Association. So I now have a business model. Thank you to Teach2 and the AOC for the funding. I've now got a trial that I know works. I've now got a commitment from ACES. I'm going to take it forward. And hopefully, by the time maybe I see some of you next year, we'll have 3 like models, one with Ongo, one with ACES, and one with Longhurst. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you very much, Rick. I first want to assure you you're not going to have another speech now. Time is going on. But I just want to say a couple of things. I don't know what you think, but I think we've had a very good day today, and I want to thank Ruth and all her team who have organised all this event, our speakers and the students who have come down today. It's been excellent this afternoon to see what's really going on the ground, especially for someone like us at the centre, as it were. For my part, I know I've learned a lot today. I'll never use the word vocational again, I promise, having been attacked at the beginning and end of the day. So that's gone. But much more I've learned about what is going on around the country under the Careers College heading. And taking up Rick's point at the end, I think, and it's come out today, there's an enormous lot. We can all learn from each other in this, one career college from another, what we can learn at the centre, and then spread around. So this kind of event is very important. So thanks very much for coming today. And I must, Ruth having got me into this, as it were, I really thought I'd finished with FE when I finished at Bromley. I thought I've washed FE out of my hair, or what remains of my hair, and she taught me into it. But having come today, I'm glad she did, and I've got a lot of confidence now about what is going on in careers colleges and how we can build on it. I mean, it does seem to me there's enormous potential in the whole careers college movement now, and we all of us to project that around to others we meet. But Ruth, have the final word.
No more than 60 seconds. I promise. I promise. And I'm eyeing up the beautiful cakes and things that have been brought in. First of all, apologies, Rick. I've learnt a valuable lesson there. And Bev, I'm on the next CPD to learn Prezi, because that's what you're using. Many of you use the students in the presentation, so that's got to be on my list. And also, well, the irony of the data point and the physical space is not lost on me. In terms of the rest of the afternoon, we have the room booked out to us. Please don't rush away. Talk to each other, network. It is so rare to have that opportunity to connect up. Share the workload, share the employer link, share the stories, share the woes, share the challenges, share contact details. If you don't get them today, ask us, but share. This is a support network. Ultimately, that's what we're here for. I am particularly grateful to the students. I am extremely grateful always to the staff, but the students have really come far and wide today. So I want to commend you on being so brave, and to say honestly, I don't think I'd have been as brave as you at your age. I don't think I could have physically stood without my hands shaking with a piece of paper, let alone got a word out. So incredible feat what you've achieved here today at your age. So thank you very much. And 2 final points of administration. The first, very importantly, is on mail. We're using a MailChimp. For those of you who don't know what that is, it's an online survey that will come into your inboxes. It is not junk mail. Please do have a look, because it's one of these very quick 60 seconds, but give us some feedback, help shape the next conference, help shape the next networking event, or whatever it is you want from us. And there is one other point, Bev.
Keen to capture some vox pop
Thank you.
delegates' views of the conference and what they learn. Pavel will be here to do that. So please, if you're a student or a member of staff or an employer and you want to say something about the conference.
Thank you. Pavel is alumni from Barking Dagenham College. So Pavel, give us a little wave. For those who haven't met you, you are part of the family here as well, like Uncle Bob. And very much worked with us from the beginning. Do put your soundbite up, and students, you as well, because we will make sure that these things are available to you to use promotionally. They're there to support your network. You're also ambassadors for other young people and staff as well, to share that word. And we will share all of the material from today with you, so you can use it to share, network, encourage and inspire others. Have I remembered?
Can we just thank Chloe? Chloe's stand up.
Chloe.
Chloe is a photography student from Westminster Kingsway who stepped in a couple of days ago
because our normal photographer couldn't join us this year. So thank you to Chloe for coming in and spending the day with us.
We're very grateful. Thank you all. Grab coffee, network, enjoy. Thank you.